tutorial. And today we are going to be looking at algebraic equation. Algebraic equation. Now, when we are talking about algebraic equation, we are talking about equations in this form: ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Now, this is an algebraic equation. When you have an equation like this now, it is an equation because it's having this equal to. So when you have something like, maybe when they clean this one up, they clean this one, when they clean this, this particular one is just an expression. So then when you put equal to there, equals to 0, it becomes an equation. Now, you can see that we have A, B, and C here. Now, A here is the coefficient of x squared. So that means any number you are seeing beside x here, that is the value of A. Now, B here is the coefficient of x here. So times, if the sign here is minus, that means the coefficient of x will be minus a particular number. And then C also is like the constants that we have in the equation. Now, when we are talking about quadratic equation, we have different methods that we can use to solve quadratic equation. The first one is factorization method. That's the first method that we use. The second one is completing the square method. While the third one is using quadratic formula. The fourth one is when you use graph method. That is the fourth one. So each of these methods can be used to solve a typical quadratic equation. But it's not all the questions that factorization can be used for. There are some questions that factorization cannot be used for, that you have to come and use quadratic formula. So we are going to look at how each of those methods can be used now in solving some questions. And now, let us start with the factorization method. Thank you. All right, we are welcome back to the same topic of quadratic equation. So now we are going to be learning about how to factorize a quadratic equation, or how can we use factorization method in solving quadratic equation. Now we have a particular example on the board. Now, I gave us the general formula. This is what we call the general formula. The general equation of quadratic. That's the general quadratic equation. That's as squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. That is the general quadratic equation. Now, let us use this particular one now. So now what we have now, let us write solution. So what we have now, we have 2x squared minus 7x minus 4 equal to 0. Now the first thing, let us divide this board so that we can use it in two places. So the first thing we are going to do is we have to multiply this number and this one together. So we have, that's 2x squared times minus 4. It is minus 4 that we have here. So the answer will be minus 8x squared. And then we are going to write this number that we have here. That's minus 7x. Now, what we need to get now is, we want to get numbers that we're going to multiply together will give us 8. Because 8 is the coefficient here. Don't look at the minus yet. Just get 8. What are those numbers that we're going to multiply together that will give us 8? So the first one is 1 times 8. The second one is 2 times 4. So those are the two numbers that we can multiply together and give us 8. Okay, now we have 1 times 8. Is there any way we can add this one together that will give us 7? Yes, because if we add this one together, either we add it together or we subtract it, we can never get 7 or minus 7. So, but if you look at this one now, there's a way we can do it. So, if you put minus 8 here, and we put plus here, so plus 1 times minus 8, that will give us, that is 1 times minus 8. That will give us minus 8 that we're looking for here. So, and then here, you can say minus 8 plus 1, that will give us minus 7. So automatically we can just say what will give us this one is what? X minus 8x. X minus 8x will give us minus 7x, and then x multiplied by, so we can say what? Minus 8x squared equals to x multiplied by minus 8x squared, because minus will be here. X times x is x squared, 8 times 1, that is 8 squared. So this is what will give us this particular thing. So what we need to do is just to list all the multiples, all the numbers that we can multiply to get this one. So, and then we come here and say 2, we replace this one, 2x squared. And this minus 7 now, since we have gotten an expression for it that if we add this two together, we are going to get this. And when we multiply the same thing, we must get this one. Because what we are trying to do is what? Any number you must use must satisfy the two conditions. It must satisfy the two conditions. So we are going to use this one and say, okay, plus x minus 8x minus 4 equal to 0. We are going to substitute for only this. But we have to test it first, whether it goes for this or this. So if it doesn't go for the two of them, you're not going to use the number. So you have to use a number that goes for the two. So now, what we'll do is we'll look at this and we'll look at this together. We'll factorize them. So what is common between these two variables now? I think x is common. You say x, bring x out. When we take x out, now we have 2x left. Because when you multiply x by 2x, you have 2x squared. So plus, I'm taking 1. So when you open this bracket with x, you're going to get this one back. So what is common here? I think it's minus 4. Minus 4 is common because 4 can go here and it can go here. So what is left? When you factorize minus 4 here out here, you have 2x. Don't forget that we have factorized minus out. So what will be here will be plus. And the x is 1. So you have to note something, that after you have factorized the numbers out, if what you have in the two brackets is not the same thing, that means you are wrong. So you have to check that whatever you have in the bracket must be the same thing. So equal to 0. So what we are going to do is we are going to capture the one outside together. So we are saying x minus 4, and then we'll take one out of the bracket because they are equal. 2x plus 1 equal to 0. So when we have two things like this, two brackets like this, that means either this one equals to 0 or this one equals to 0. That's what we're trying to say. So we'll pick them one after the other. So either, that is x minus 4 equal to 0. So if x minus 4 equals 0, we try to bring this one here. So x equals to 4. Or we take the second one, 2x plus 1. So 2x plus 1 equals to 0. So we'll take this one here and we'll have 2x equals to 0 minus 1. So we have 2x equals to minus 1. And then how do we get our x? Now divide those out by 2. So cut it like this now. So that means our x equals to minus 1 over 2. So therefore, the value of, or the values of x will be x equals to minus 1 over 2 or 4. So these two values here are the solution to this particular quadratic equation. Imagine that this particular thing is an expression that the input equal to 0. So where you're going to stop it because equal to will not be there. So you just, once you get to this level, you stop it there, because what they will tell you is factorize this. So but once they say equal to 0, that means you have to get the value of, you have to get the values of x that will make this equation here to be equal to 0. So when you put minus 1 over 2 in this equation, for x, you're going to get 0. And when you put 4 here, you must get 0. Because when you put 4 now, 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 multiplied by everything here will turn to 0. So that is the solution to this particular question. Thank you. All right, you are welcome back to our next example. All right. All right, you are welcome back to factorization method under quadratic equation. Under this particular lesson, we are going to be looking at how to use factorization method to solve the quadratic equation. And in the previous lesson, I've been able to differentiate between quadratic expression and equation. This is an equation here. Now, whenever you want to solve something like this now, you write the question out, and then the first thing you're going to do, like I said, is you're going to take this first variable, multiply by this one, that's x squared multiplied by this, and then we have what? Minus 12x squared. So you will now take these numbers. Let us try to get numbers that we can multiply that will give us this now. So the first one is 1 times 12. Another one is 2 times 6. Another one is 3 times 4. Take these are the numbers that we can multiply together and give us 12. Now, but don't forget that the answer is minus 12. So we'll now come and write this one down. That is minus x. Minus x. So now, out of these numbers here now, which one can we add together or subtract that will give us minus x? So if we say 3 minus 4, that should give us minus x. Then we have to put x at the back because that's 3x minus 4x. That should give us minus x. And if you multiply these two together, are we going to get minus 12? Because don't forget that this is minus 12. So let's see. So minus 3x multiplied by minus 4x. So we have minus, that's 3 times 4, 12, and x times x squared. So this one satisfies the two conditions. So we'll go back to the equation and then we'll solve. So what we have now is we write this one, that is x squared. For this now, we're going to substitute this for it because this one now satisfies the two conditions that when you add it together you have this one, and when you multiply it you have minus 12x. So we have plus 3x minus 4x minus 12 equal to 0. So we are going to factorize this on the parameters we have gotten now. We are going to take it 2 like this. So we'll look at these two variables here now. What is common in two of them? X is common. Take x out, open bracket. X will be left here plus 3. When you open this bracket here with x here, that's x times x, you must have x squared, and x times plus 3, you must have plus 3x. So if after you open bracket now, you are unable to get this one back, that means what you have factorized is wrong. So we'll look at this one too. What is common here? It is minus. Minus is common because it's from this minus, because this 4x holds this minus. So we have minus, what is common? 4. Minus 4, because 4 can go in 4 and 4 can go in 12. So what is left here? X. And then since we have taken minus out, here now it will be plus. Plus. How many 4 can we get in 12? 3. Equal to 0. So you can see that what we have now, we have our bracket, the two brackets, they are equal. So if after you have solved your own question, when you get to this level and your brackets are not the same, that means you are wrong, something is wrong somewhere. So the next thing we are going to do here is to take the numbers outside together as x minus 4, and then we'll take one out of the bracket because they are equal as x plus 3 equal to 0. So now, when we have an equation like this, that we have a bracket and bracket equal to 0, that means either this bracket equals to 0 or this one is equals to 0. So let's go to the other side as well, and then we say, well, either x minus 4 equal to 0. So if x minus 4 is equal to 0, what are we going to do? We can transfer this one to this side, and we have x equals to 0 plus 4. So x equals to 4.
Or we now say or the second condition that this one equals to zero, that's x plus 3 equal to 0. We do the same thing. We transfer this one to this side. And when we transfer it now, we have x equals to 0 minus 3. Why is it minus? Because plus here, when it's crossing the bridge now, it will change to minus. And we have x equals to minus 3. So therefore, the value of our x will be equals to minus 3 or 4. So now, these two values here, they are the values that when you put them into this equation here, it must be equals to 0. So when you put minus 3 into this equation now, the answer you're going to get must be equals to 0. Or when you put 4, you must get 0. So, and those two values are the solution to this.